My guest, John Paul Jackson, is a proven prophet. As a matter of fact, you literally saw people digging up pavement to plant. Explain.
Yes, and there was a couple of cities where people in various inner city areas would actually try to dig up the pavement. They would get unused backhoes and use that to try to pull the asphalt streets up and try to then plant seeds underneath in the dirt underneath the asphalt streets.
What about in the areas of war?
Well, areas of war is going to become increasingly more and more hostile. The issue with North Korea is not as trite as a lot of Americans might think it is, and what they're going to be doing, especially in furnishing materials to other nations, is scary, and will actually lead to some detonation of some fissile material. The issue of Pakistan is probably the most serious of them, other than Egypt. And the issue, I saw Pakistan turning into a terrorist community, that it will cease being friendly to the United States. It will be overthrown in some way. I'm not sure whether that's a military overthrow or a coup or how all that works. I saw bits and pieces. You see the result, but you don't know sometimes exactly what the process was. And
you saw a dirty bomb going off in America.
I did. I saw more than one dirty bomb going off in America, and the first one I saw was in a coastal city. And the city, I didn't see the name of the city, but I saw tunnels underground in the city, and I saw those tunnels full of water. And
you saw a nuclear type of material being secretly brought into the United States.
Right, in underground passageways. And
can you be more specific? Where were they coming from?
It looked like it was coming in an arid area, so it looked like it would be from the Mexican border. And so I would assume that it would be from that direction versus the Canadian border, because of the arid area that I saw it coming through. But I also saw things like some type of biological warfare coming through there, that the Islamic community would pay some of the people in Mexico, like mules, to carry biological and chemical weaponry in these tunnels to the United States, and then release them in certain areas, or deliver them to somebody who would release them in a large populated area.
Sid Roth here with John Paul Jackson, and John Paul Jackson has been showing a window into the next 10 years of what is going to happen in the world. And John Paul Jackson, what's going to happen here in the United States in the political area?
Well, the Islamic community is going to continue to make inroads into the political arenas. They've got a multiplication project that is designed specifically on their part. It's a 100-year plan. At least that's what the Lord showed me, a 100-year plan that they have that, and I'm not saying that it's going to be 100 years before the Lord comes back. It's their 100-year plan.
Right.
So, but their 100-year plan is basically to have a president in the office of the United States, a president of the United States in office by 2024. That their plan is to have, before that date, to have mayors of cities, governors of states elected and in place before then, to have congressmen and senators in place before then, and then after that to have a judge, more than one judge on the Supreme Court, in order to change the laws and implement more of an Islamic law into the United States.
Now, what did you see happening in schools in the United States as far as Islamic prayer?
Islamic prayer would be allowed, and Christian prayer would not be allowed. They would make time.
It's outrageous.
It's unbelievable. When I saw it, I thought, surely not, Lord. But they will allow, because of the fear factor, they're going to allow Islamic prayer in the school system in the United States, but not Christian prayer in the United States. They will allow time for Islamic children to pray, but not time for Christian children to pray.
What did you see about President Obama?
I saw that there was going to be an attempt upon his life.
By who?
I saw that it was going to be by the Islamic community, but make it look like it was racially motivated.
And of course, we should pray that this not happen. But if it happens, what would occur?
Then there would be incredible race riots in the streets like we've never seen before in this nation, and it would be worse than Rwanda.
And with all this devastation that you see,
right?
You saw the glory of God invading planet Earth. Tell me what you saw.
Well, the Bible talks about a time of Jacob's trouble, a time of incredible hardships, incredible difficulties. But a lot of people don't look at what the Lord said about the Jacob generation. The generation is going to see that trouble is also going to see His glory. For in Psalms 24, it talks about the glory of God that's going to come in. Who is this King of glory? That is the chapter that asks that incredible question. And it talks about what is going to happen. He who ascends to the mountain of the Lord with clean hands and a pure heart, who's not lifted up his soul to vanity. These type of people are going to see incredible things of God. And what I saw the glory of God invading His church again. I saw the glory of God invading homes again. I saw the glory of God invading places of worship again.
Get specific.
The glory of God, what I saw was like, it was thick, it was honey-like, it was like you see on the road. On a hot day, you'll look down the road and you'll see a shimmering on the highway. Well, this happened in the churches that I saw, and in the places where the glory came down. There was a shimmering, like a cylinder, a large cylinder, and varying sizes of cylinders of this shimmering, honey-colored, amber-esque colored light. But it was very thick. It was thicker than what you thought. When you got into it, you found it very difficult to move, not because you were paralyzed, but because of the thickness of the presence of the Lord. And whoever entered said, anybody who walked into that glory was healed. Anybody.
Oh, I love it. Let it happen on this show.
And amen. And I watch mothers and fathers cry out for their children in that cylinder of glory, in the glory of God. I watched them cry out, and before they were done praying, the children ran into the sanctuary, ran into the place of worship, ran into the home, declaring that they had been touched by God, and they were giving their life to the Yeshua, and giving their life to the Messiah who they had now seen.
You saw multiplication of food. Explain.
I saw multiplication of food. I saw where there's no food on tables. People, this Jacob generation, would close their eyes and pray, and they would hold hands in unity, and while they were praying, food would be put into the pots that were on the table. They took the lids off the pots, and there was the food, and they delivered and dished out the food to the people who were praying there. And this didn't happen in one location. It was multiple locations. God is drawing us back to a purity of relationship with Him through Jesus.
Speaking of purity, you saw in the church no absolutes. What did you mean?
Well, I saw a growing time where the church failed to realize the absolutes of God. They began to diminish the Word, and so there was no absolute way to get to God, and then there became no absolute one God. So then it ended up being more of a polytheistic view of God, or a many types of God, and each one of us have our own gods.
And you saw horrible
immorality
in the church.
I saw horrible immorality in the church that was going to be exposed.
Some of the things you talk about here, it's difficult to even express publicly.
It is so vile. It is so ugly.
But there's got to be a separation of God's people, of Jacob's generation, and everyone else.
And it's a Malachi 3 passage. It says, and there's a clear distinction between those who know God and those who don't know their God. And that's what we're going to begin to see, Sid. We're going to see a clear separation, a clear distinction. We're going to see leaders arise in the midst of turmoil. We're going to see people with ideas that meet the needs of people in the midst of turmoil. We're going to see people with innovations that meet and facilitate the delivery systems and systemization of things. And these will be the believers that God shows His secrets
wisdom.
Supernatural wisdom, exactly.
It's the Issachar.
Here's a verse that's very important. It's found in Psalms 25:14. The secret of the Lord is with those who fear Him. Now, what is the secret of the Lord? It's anything that God hasn't revealed. Meaning, how do you do this? What is the secret to DNA? What is the secret to this particular type of healing process? What's the secret to various things? And you're going to have people being given secrets from the Lord because He's going to keep His covenant with them.